on guardians ad litem and attorneys for the minor child and family matters. And I'm Michael Albus, the chair of the committee, and I will call the roll at this time. Susan Hamilton.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Susan Hamilton. I am here as the designee for Chief Public Defender Christine Rapillo.
Thank you. Liza Andrews.
Here.
Stephen Carragher.
Here.
Danielle Rado indicated she would not be able to join us due to a court conflict. Judge Jennifer Maturowski.
Here.
Mark Korber. We are expecting, but he's not here yet. And Brian Caffarelli indicated that he would be unable to attend because of a work conflict, and I don't see him here, so that conflict must have happened. And then Justine Rakic Kelly. You're on mute.
Yes, I'm here, Judge.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum, so welcome all. And as the first order of business, I'll take up the minutes of our previous meeting on May 14th, 2021. Did everyone have a chance to read and review those minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes be adopted. Any discussion on the minutes? Any suggested changes or corrections? Right, hearing none, then all in favor of approving the minutes as drafted, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is possible removal of individuals from the list of persons qualified to serve as a guardian ad litem or attorney for the minor child. Under our rules, complaints for removal are confidential unless and until there's been a finding of probable cause. I believe we have several complaints to hear the recommendation of the probable cause panel, and it'd be appropriate at this time. I would entertain a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing those complaints, hearing those recommendations of the probable cause panel. And the motion would typically indicate that our legal advisors, Attorney Bowler and Attorney Gagosh, and our staff, Mr. Goldstein and Ms. Orlowski, would join us in that executive session. Anyone wish to make that motion?
So moved.
Made by Attorney Hamilton. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rakic Kelly, Attorney Rakic Kelly seconds. All in favor of entering, any discussion? All in favor of entering executive session as so stated?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then at this time, I'll note that it's 2:05 p.m. We will enter executive session, and we'll, after executive session, resume the public session and take any votes on the complaints that may be discussed. And I'll note we do appear to have, I believe this meeting is being covered by CTN. I believe they're on the meeting. This is the first time, so I'm not sure what the procedure is for them to leave us during executive session. Attorney Bowler, do you have any knowledge about that, or Mr. Goldstein?
I didn't know if Allison Chandler had come across the situation before.
I don't. Can the representative from CTN hear us and just confirm that we're not being broadcast currently?
At this time, I'll note that the executive session ended at 2:35 p.m. We are now back in public session. And at this time, the committee may consider and vote on the record on the 5 complaints.
You know what sucks?
That we,
None of these things have names. Oh my!
the 5 complaints about which we heard the reports of the probable cause panel during executive session. And as you all know, under our rules, in order to remove someone from the list of eligible persons to serve as a guardian ad litem or attorney for the minor child, we must find that they present an imminent risk of significant harm to the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So in each of these cases, we received and heard a recommendation of the probable cause committee as to whether the allegations of the complaint and the information provided by the complainant presented probable cause that that standard was met. And it's our duty at this time, having heard those reports, to vote either to accept or not accept the recommendation of the probable cause panel in each matter. Under our rules also, the parties to these matters are confidential unless and until a finding of probable cause is made. So I'll be referring to them in public session only by the complaint numbers and not by the names of the respondents. So the first complaint that we discussed and heard the recommendation of was complaint number 21-0002. And does anyone wish to make a motion regarding that probable cause panel report?
I move that we accept the findings of the probable cause panel.
Is there a second? Attorney Rackets Kelly? And I'll note the recommendation of the panel was that we find no probable cause and dismiss the complaint. So just to be clear, Ms. Anders, it was your intent to move to adopt that recommendation of a finding of no probable cause?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Attorney Rackets Kelly, was your intent to second that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there any discussion?
I will abstain from this vote as I wasn't present for that portion of the executive session.
Oh, thank you. I meant to note for the record, once we got into public session, that Mark Corber did join us at 2:15 during the executive session. He was not present at the roll call. He did miss the discussion of only the first complaint. Any other questions or discussion? Other than the abstention by Attorney Corber, I will take a voice vote. All in favor of adopting the recommendation of the panel signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions other than Mr. Corber? So the recommendation of the panel is adopted and approved, and the complaint is dismissed. The next complaint is number 21-0005. There a motion to adopt the recommendation of a finding of no probable cause and dismissal of the complaint by the probable cause panel?
So moved.
Judge Manchurowski moves. A second.
Second.
Liza Andrews seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of adopting the recommendation of the probable cause panel signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So that recommendation is adopted unanimously. The next complaint is number 21-0006. Is there a motion to adopt the recommendation of a finding of no probable cause by the panel and the dismissal of the complaint?
So moved, Your Honor.
Attorney Hamilton makes the motion. Any second?
I'll second it, if I may.
Mark Corber seconds. Is there any discussion or any abstentions on this one?
I'm abstaining, Your Honor. Attorney Rakesh Kelly.
Right. Any discussion? And all in favor of adopting the recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions other than Attorney Rackich Kelly? Then that recommendation is adopted by unanimous vote, except for one abstention by Attorney Rackich Kelly. And the complaint is dismissed. Next is 21-0007. Is there a motion to adopt the probable cause panel's recommendation of a finding of no probable cause and dismissal of the complaint?
So moved.
Mr. Korber, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Andrews? Is anyone abstaining from this matter?
Again, Your Honor, I have to abstain. Justine Rackich Kelly.
Among the remaining members, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, is all in favor of adopting the recommendation of a finding of no probable cause signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any other abstentions besides Attorney Rackich Kelly? And in that matter, the recommendation of the probable cause panel of a finding of no probable cause is adopted by a unanimous vote of the committee, except for one abstention, that by Attorney Rackich Kelly. And finally, complaint number 21-0008. Is there a motion in this matter to accept the recommended finding of no probable cause by the probable cause panel and dismissal of the complaint?
So moved.
Judge Machorowski moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Any abstentions from discussion or voting on this one? Any questions or discussion? And hearing none, at this time we will please vote to signify by saying aye if you are in favor of adopting the recommendation of the probable cause panel of a finding of no probable cause.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And in that matter, the recommendation of the probable cause panel is adopted unanimously and the complaint is dismissed. So that completes item number 2 of the agenda. Item number 3 concerns changes to the active list. And I believe we have a number of requests for reinstatement to the list. I might ask, is it Damon or Lauren or both are going to present or explain these requests?
I'm ready to go, Judge, when you are.
And, go ahead, Damon, when you're ready.
Okay. First request for reinstatements from attorney Mary Charette. She was removed from the list back in August of 2015 at her request, and she is requesting to be reinstated. She does state that she is now in compliance with practice book section 25-62 subsection B. And again, she is requesting reinstatement.
Right, and I note, without getting into details, she had requested removal for some personal obligations that were preventing her from actively engaging in these cases at the time. Is that right, Damon?
That's correct, Judge.
Any questions or discussion on the request for reinstatement to the list by attorney Mary Charette? If not, is there a motion to reinstate her to the list of approved persons?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so Attorney Charette is restored to the list by unanimous vote. Damon, the next one.
Judge, the next request is from a Ms. Akeisha Casimir. Ms. Casimir was removed from the list in January of 2018 because she did not respond to a request for updated information that was sent out in November of 2017. Judge, in my search of the Barmaster record, as well as a search of the Department of Public Health website, I find that Ms. Casimir is neither an attorney. I could not locate a juris number for her in the state of Connecticut, and nor is she licensed in one of the mental health fields that the practice book so requires. I did find that she is licensed as a notary public. However, I did not find any other licenses. She lists herself in our database as a family counselor. But again, I did not find anything in the Department of Public Health databases that showed that she possesses a current license in one of the disciplines that the practice book rule requires.
All right. Under the circumstances, well, first of all, any questions or discussion?
But her name was on the list at one time?
It was Attorney Korber. She completed the training back in 2012 or 2013 prior to the existence of the practice book rule that required that an individual either be an attorney in good standing licensed to practice in the state of Connecticut or be one of the mental health disciplines that's listed in 25-62 subsection B.
And no one was grandfathered when the rule was changed?
No, and I am at a loss to explain why, when the rule was created, why Attorney Casimir wasn't originally removed from the active list at that time.
Okay.
Any other questions? And I suppose it is possible that someone had a license at one time and no longer does.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, it would seem appropriate at this time, unless there is a different feeling or suggestion, to consider a motion to deny her request without prejudice to her right to seek placement on the list if she provides evidence that she has the required licensure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what's the name of the person?
Akisha Casimir.
Can you spell that, please?
Akisha, and the last name is Cassermere. Oh,
No, they don't have any record of a license at Public Health.
all right. Any other questions or discussion? Anyone wish to make a motion?
Yeah, I move that her request be denied without prejudice for her to apply later if she can establish appropriate licensure.
Is there a second?
I would second, Your Honor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Right, the motion carries. Next one, Damon.
The third individual is Attorney Nilda Negron. Attorney Negron was removed from the list in January of 2019 because she did not respond to a request for updated information that was sent out to the members of the active list in November of 2018. Attorney Negron is stating that she is in compliance with practice book section 2562 subsection B and is requesting reinstatement to the active list. And I believe she has a request for I believe there's a request for retroactivity.
Yeah, I'm looking at her email and request retroactivity to July 28th of this year.
So this will be my only comment about this, is that Attorney Negron is now a staff attorney at the Children's Law Center. July 28th was her hire date.
Thank you. Any questions? Any other discussion? Is there a motion to reinstate Ms. Negron to the list retroactive to July 28th, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carried unanimously. We have a couple more, Damon?
Yes, next individual is Attorney Heidi Opinski. Attorney Opinski was also removed from the active list in January of 2019. We did not receive a response from her to a request for updated information that was sent out in November of 2018. Attorney Opinski is stating that she is in compliance with practice book section 2562, subsection B, and on that basis, she is requesting reinstatement to the active list.
Any questions? Is there a motion to reinstate Attorney Opinski?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of reinstatement, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to reinstate carries unanimously. Damon?
The final individual, Judge Albus, is Attorney Crystal Ramos. Attorney Ramos was removed from the list in January of 2018. Her employment precluded her from serving as a guardian ad litem from November of 2017 through July of 2021. At this time, Attorney Ramos is stating that she is in compliance with practice book section 25-62 subsection B, and she is requesting reinstatement.
Any questions? Is there a motion to reinstate Attorney Ramos?
So moved. So moved.
Any discussion?
Second, okay.
Any discussion? All in favor of reinstatement, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Damon. That was the last one. Is that right?
Yes, there are no more individuals requesting reinstatement, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is pre-service training. Attorneys Hamilton or Rackich Kelly, anything on this issue? I know we heard last time about the final plans and how things went, but anything to add?
I don't think so, Your Honor, just by way of update. I think this will be, I guess, a standing agenda item. But we did send over to Damon the list of everybody who completed the training. And he did the follow-up with them about what they would need to supply to judicial to be added to the list of folks who are eligible for appointment. And of those folks, if they requested a contract, Damon has let us know that as well. And we are, executing the contracts with those individuals. Once they're executed, I will let Damon know and we can update, the judicial list. I think that you guys use an asterisk if they're willing to take state rate cases. So that should close the loop on this year's training class. So I appreciate all your help with that, Damon, as well.
Thank you, Attorney Hamilton. You and your division did all of the work along with the subcommittee and Attorney Rackich Kelly and Ms. Andrews, and another great program got put on this year. One thing I want to raise, and we don't have to discuss this today, certainly, is future trainings and the fact that this training was recorded, and what to do about that and how often to offer. And so I just throw that out there. Again, it's not something that the committee has to take up today, and I leave that to the members' discretion and to Judge Albus.
Yeah, it's a good point, and perhaps the committee members can think about the details of the training and what, if anything, would need to be done to adapt it to be a future session, either by video or virtually, since it's been recorded. I know we discussed at one time that it would be helpful in being able to provide training more frequently if we didn't have to recruit the whole faculty and redo the whole presentation each time. So once you've had a chance to think about that, perhaps at a future meeting, we can discuss that. Certainly if you have thoughts now, but we didn't really prepare you for that, and you may want to think about it before we ask you to. How many names were added to the list or will be added to the list as a result of the training?
Do you have the list handy there, Damon?
Let's say there were maybe 40 people at the attending. Is it more than 40?
Yeah, we had that number attend the training, but I think Damon would have the list of everybody that responded satisfactorily to his request for additional information. So it will be a subset of all of the folks who actually completed the training, at least initially. I think Damon, I think he's looking.
Right, because didn't we have one or two, for example, attorneys to be who took the training in anticipation of passing the
That's
bar.
right.
So they may
That's
have
right.
finished the training, but aren't yet or weren't yet eligible to go on the list.
Right.
I have one of them on my staff right now.
There were 30 individuals who completed the training. Four of which, to the best of my knowledge, have not submitted the request for additional information that I needed to add into the database in order for them to be on the active list. And again, certainly two of those were individuals who are not yet attorneys, but were conscientious enough to follow up and indicate as much. And I thanked them for doing so and told them at such time as they become members of the Connecticut Bar that they're welcome to inform this committee of such, and we would take up having them placed on the list.
And I think thank you, Damon. The other and I think the issue about the videotaping of the sessions, I think you're right, Your Honor. When we had all discussed this, I think this first go around with the virtual way of doing the trainings, we did think that it might be useful to perhaps there's some benefit to being in person and participating live, virtually or otherwise, during the training for the interaction with the presenters and the question and answer portions. But it seemed to the committee at the time that there would be some logic in perhaps doing a hybrid moving forward if necessary, and using those recordings in a way that wouldn't require us to bring back every year the speakers. So I think we'll have further discussion about that as well. And the last thing I would just say is that we were very, I guess, vigilant about requiring anybody who was doing this training in order to be eligible for completion of the training had to be in every session with their videos on and all of that. So not everybody that was on the list was deemed to have been, fully compliant with that. And so that may be the difference between the approximately 30 people that Damon mentioned and the 40 that we think ultimately attended some portion of the training. So we'll be following up with those individuals, and for future trainings, they may be able to participate and finish the full module.
All right, well, thank you again very much, Attorney Hamilton and your committee, and Damon and your staff for the work. Attorney Korber?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Your Honor, that I'm one of those who took the training but didn't apply to have my name added to the list. I took the training only to educate myself, and I just have to say it was fabulous. It was really good. I mean, my sole comment was that it's so obvious how difficult this job is and what skill it takes to do it, that people who are starting out need to be mentored in some way, because it is, I was bewildered by the end at the complexity and the things you'd have to think about. But the training and the committee did a fabulous job. It was really very, very good.
Thank you very much, Mark, for taking the time to participate in the training as well as for the comments.
Mm.
Anything else on the question of the in-service training, pre-service training, rather? All right, then the last two items are scheduling our future meetings. Does this continue to tend to be a good day and time? We've moved on a little bit lately, but.
I'm sorry, Judge, we still have just agenda item number 5 on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped an item. Thank you, Damon. The next is the 2021 request for updated information from individuals on the list in order to maintain their status on the list. Damon, you wish to report where we stand on that?
Sure, just very briefly, because I wasn't 100% sure whether we were going to be able to meet before that email normally goes out, which is in the middle of November. And so I just wanted to let the committee know that once again, pursuant to practice book rule, we will be sending out an email to the members of the active list, asking them to recertify that they are in good standing pursuant to practice book rule. Plus, we're every 3 years required to survey the members of the active list if they have complied with the continuing education requirements of being a guardian ad litem, which is at least 12 hours of continuing education, 2 hours of which have to be in the area of ethics. And so this is 3 years since the last time we asked. So that question will be included as part of this year's email to the members of the active list.
All right, thank you, Damon. And typically we send out that first notice, and then the last couple of years, I think we've done a follow-up notice for those who haven't responded to try to reduce the number who may have missed one email and don't respond and then have to make a request to be reinstated, like the ones that we did today. So that would typically come toward the end of December or early January, is that right?
Actually, it would be early in December, maybe second week in December, Judge, because we asked for the responses to be submitted just before the Christmas holiday, and so we send out that second email about 2 weeks before.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or discussion about the process for soliciting the information we need from those on the list to ensure that they remain eligible? All right, and I don't think we require a vote on that, Damon Dewey, so thank you for the report. Now let's talk about the next meeting. Typically, we would probably talk about December or January, unless there's something pressing earlier. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
So,
fine.
And I guess at some point we may talk about doing these in person again, but what's the sense of the committee as to whether we should do at least one more meeting virtually? And frankly, with this committee and people scattered around the state, maybe at some point we have a discussion about whether this is the way it's always best to do it. But for now, does anyone believe we should not schedule the next one to be done virtually? All right, and is Monday at this time a good day? I know we had done some Friday 2 p.m. or 3 o'clock p.m. meetings, but at least this time it turned out, I believe Monday was the best. Anyone requesting a day other than Monday? All right. So Damon, do you have any?
Well, I guess I would say that if we're gonna meet in December, let's do it earlier because the holidays make things complicated. If we're gonna meet in January, then I was looking at something like January 10th, which is shortly after the new year. But I leave it, Judge, to your discretion as to which you would prefer.
All right, well, January 10th, is that also, I don't have my 2022 calendar yet. Is that also a Monday?
It is, Judge.
It's also not Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
I
7th.
double checked that, I promise.
Yeah, I figured you did, Damon.
If I could inquire, Judge, about the process for having the recent law grads who now know they've passed the bar but have not yet been sworn in to get added to the list. Do they have to come before the committee again with a request, or is that an automatic thing having done the training with the group of trainees?
I don't think we voted on, do we vote on each individual? If someone qualifies, they get on the list, don't they, Damon?
That's how it's been handled in the past.
So that if one of the attorneys, or one of the law school graduates who wasn't yet an attorney, becomes one and they've done the training, do they have to do anything more than send the request to you with the pertinent information?
In the past, that has been sufficient, so.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense.
I would argue for an earlier date if we had to come before the committee. So I'm good with January.
I don't see a reason to start that as a requirement. I think it would be burdensome on those who have done everything they need to do. The rule says if they meet the requirements, they're entitled to be on the list. So I don't think they need our blessing. It's only when they've been taken off the list because they, for example, asked to be taken off or didn't respond that they make that request. But if they are first time entrants on the list and they do everything they need to do, take the training and otherwise qualify, we've always placed them on the list, and I don't see any reason. Does anyone think we should require a vote in that situation?
No.
Well, there's Monday, January 10th at 2 o'clock. That work for most people. I don't know that anything, certainly if something urgent comes up before then, we can meet sooner, but why don't we plan on that, at least as a tentative meeting, and that gives everyone a little more time to work it into their schedules as well. Okay, so
Okay.
we'll plan that as our next meeting. The last agenda item is any other matters that may properly come before the committee at this meeting. Is there anything else anyone wishes to raise at this time? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you all, and thank you to the staff. The meeting is adjourned at
Bye, everybody.
10.